Today we're diving into the introduction of Jordan Peterson's book, Beyond Order. And to really get what the ideas in this book are all about, you first have to understand the incredibly profound and, frankly, harrowing personal story that forged them.
You see, to truly understand the purpose of this book, we have to start with the extreme, almost unbelievable circumstances under which it was written. This isn't just some academic exercise. This story goes right into the heart of a real-life abyss. I want you to just imagine this for a second. It's February 5th, 2020. You wake up, but you're not in your own bed. You're tethered to one in an ICU, and you're surrounded by a language you can't understand. Well, this is exactly where Peterson's story begins. Not at the beginning, but right in the chaotic middle of a crisis.
So what's happening here? It's just total disorientation. He's literally tied to the bed because, while he was unconscious, he'd been trying to pull out his own IVs and catheters. He's confused, he's frustrated, he's angry, and he is completely, utterly unable to communicate.
Think about this. Weeks of his life are just gone. A total blank slate. But in that profound darkness, there was one thing he could remember. One single point of light he could hold on to. And what was it? The act of writing this very book. So, the big question is, how in the world did he end up in a Moscow hospital? Well, to understand that, we've got to rewind about a year. We need to look at this cascade of family health crises that created an almost unimaginable storm of chaos. Just look at the relentless pace of this. In January, his daughter has a major surgery. Then in March, his wife Tammy has surgery for what they think is a totally treatable cancer. But a month later, they get the most devastating news imaginable. It's an extremely rare form of cancer with a near-zero survival rate. A second surgery in May seems to work, but then in June, a whole new life-threatening complication pops up. It's only this last-ditch breakthrough treatment in Philadelphia, on their 30th wedding anniversary of all days, that finally saves her life. It was just one catastrophic wave after another.
Okay, so while all of this external chaos was raging, Peterson's own health was collapsing from the inside out, and a medication that was supposed to help was about to become the source of a new and even more personal crisis.
So here's the backstory. He'd been prescribed benzodiazepine way back in 2017. It was for an acute autoimmune reaction that was causing him severe anxiety. And you know what? For a while, it worked perfectly. It got his symptoms under control during a really intense period of public scrutiny.
But this is where it all goes sideways. As his wife's illness gets worse in March of 2019, his doctor increases his dosage to help him cope with the stress. Seems logical, right? Except it backfires. Big time. It causes something called a paradoxical reaction, which made his anxiety much, much worse. So thinking it's just the stress, they increase it again. Finally convinced the drug just isn't working, he stops it, and that triggers an immediate and utterly intolerable acute withdrawal.
And this withdrawal brings on a condition called akathisia. Now, this isn't just feeling fidgety. Peterson describes it as an uncontrollable, irresistible need to move, combined with a viciously torturous inner torment. Just an absolutely horrific state to be in. What followed was just this desperate search for help. But clinic after clinic in North America couldn't help him. The akathisia just got worse and worse. He checked into a hospital in December, and while he was there, he developed double pneumonia. At that point, his family, believing the treatments were doing more harm than good, made a radical decision. They flew him to Moscow for a drastic procedure, a medically induced coma to get him through the worst of the withdrawal. And that's how he ended up waking up, tethered to that bed, having to relearn how to walk, how to type, even how to button his own clothes.
But through all this immense suffering, the family crises, the physical torment, the cognitive breakdown, there was one constant. And that, of course, brings us right back to the book itself.
This quote, it says it all. For him, writing wasn't just a job or a task, it was literally a lifeline. It gave him a reason to live. And maybe just as importantly, it was a way to test his own ideas. Could these principles for living, these rules, actually hold up under the most extreme pressure you can possibly imagine?
So this whole experience brings up a fundamental question. A question that's really at the heart of the entire book. When your world is completely falling apart around you, where do you find a sense of meaning that's strong enough to help you endure it?
And the answer to that question lies in the book's central philosophy. It's all about the dynamic dance between two fundamental states of being, order and chaos.
Okay, so what are they? Well, think of order as the world you know. It's predictability, it's security, it's where your maps of the world actually work. But there's a danger to too much order. It can become rigid, even totalitarian. And then you have chaos. That's the unknown. It's where the unexpected happens. It's the source of all transformation and creativity, but its danger is that it can overwhelm and destroy you, just like we saw in his story.
So here's the crucial point. The goal is not to eliminate chaos and live only in order. No way. The book's big idea is that meaning is found right on the frontier between them. You have to keep one foot planted in the security of what you know while bravely stretching the other foot out into the unknown, constantly learning, growing, and adapting.
So what practical wisdom, what actual tools were forged in this personal crucible of suffering? Well, that brings us to the 12 rules themselves.
These are the themes you'll find woven throughout the rules in Beyond Order, and they're not just abstract, nice-sounding platitudes. They're real strategies for navigating that frontier we just talked about, and you can see how they connect directly to his experience, right? Things like heeding negative emotions, adopting responsibility, avoiding resentment, and maybe the most poignant one of all, being grateful in spite of suffering. These are the hard-won lessons from his time in the abyss.
And so we end with this question, which is really the question the book asks all of us to consider. Where is that edge for you? Where in your life are you secure enough to face the things you haven't yet adapted to? Because according to this book, that frontier, that's where the deepest meaning is found.